Pleased that to be joined here at SB Nation by the one and only, the dashing, the debonair, set to take over the role of James Bond from Daniel Craig. It is Peter Jacobsen. Peter, thank you so much for taking the time to join us at SB Nation.
You bet. Great to be with you, and I appreciate that introduction.
Yeah, you,
like
Daniel Craig, Sean Connery. Yeah, you guys are all the 007s. You know what I'm saying? So
it's good to be with you.
It's a bit fun and interesting. We're chatting on Thursday, December 4th, and I in my home office setup, I've got my TV behind where I've got camera equipment and whatnot, and I'm watching the tournament that you're here on behalf of. So I've got a little bit of an inception going on. Tell me about what's happening today. Let's start right there and all the fun it is, because I see it, but I know that it is a lot more fun in person.
Well, when we put this idea together a couple years ago, we knew that these Champions Tour players, these players over the age of 50, they've played in many Ryder Cups and President's Cups, and we wanted to figure out a way to put that together. So this Skechers World Champions Cup, supporting Shriners Children's, is a mashup of those two competitions with three teams: U.S., International, and Europe. And 2 years ago, the United States team came back in dramatic fashion to win on the last hole. And here we are. The first round is just finishing. We're playing the second session this afternoon. And it looks, as I look at the board right now, Team Europe and Team International are tied right now. And the defending champions, Team USA, are just a few points behind. But it's a unique format. There are 3 matches going on each hole. So I've got a match against you. You have a match against Langer. Langer has a match against me. So you try to win, make birdie or beat your teams to make 2 points a hole. And there's 648 points available. So you see the jockeying in positions all day long, every day.
I mean, that sounds like every guy's trip. You know what I'm saying? Like, because everyone's got something going on with John and with Jacob. You know what I mean? Like, and then I have something with Tim and Tom. You know what I mean? Like, we all have our little side things. But this is for a great cause, obviously, and unlike with my guys' trips, involves the best players in the world and people who golf fans obviously are very well aware of and who have succeeded and thrived and shined in similar formats as you offered in Ryder Cups and President's Cups. And I think what's fun about this is it does merge those two. We often distinguish them as they are different things and different events, obviously, but it's interesting to kind of just grab the best parts of the Ryder Cup, the best parts of the President's Cup, the best parts about players we love, and do it for an amazing cause. I also think that it's fun. We started by saying Merry Christmas to one another, that it happens this time of year. There's just the spirit, no pun intended, is high for everyone. I mean, how can you be having a bad time right now?
Yeah, the weather's beautiful here in the Clearwater, St. Pete area. And you're right. This is the end of the year, obviously. And the Champions Tour just finished up with the Charles Schwab Cup Championship, won on the last day by Stuart Sink over Stephen Alker, who are both playing here today. But these players have forged friendships and rivalries over the years. And everybody, it's fun in games before the tournament starts. But once the day started this morning, it gets pretty serious. And it gets serious all the way until Sunday. Every player here wants to win because they want to represent their country and they want to bring home the cup.
Absolutely. What do you think, as you've had such an amazing career? It's been so fun. I was talking to my dad that I was going to do this. He was so excited. He does have a question for you that I want to shoehorn in at the very end. But the dawn of golf opportunity is so different in today's day and age. You mentioned it's the end of the year. I hate the term silly season because no golf that I can watch is silly. I mean, if you can put golf in front of me, there's nothing silly about it. It makes it so much fun. But these types of events, the ability to just, I don't want to say out of thin air. I don't mean to minimize the process of putting together any kind of event, but that we have the infrastructure and the technology to do golf year round is an amazing, and to make it so public to people is really the ultimate difference maker as opposed to 30 years ago, whatever. That has to be a cool thing to have seen come to life over the course of your career.
You're right. I hate the word silly season. When I was on tour, I played in a lot of the silly season events, but there's nothing silly about going to a town that doesn't see the PGA Tour or the Champions Tour and raising a significant amount of money for charity to stay within that community. There's nothing silly about it. I think that's incredibly great. and a huge advantage for the community. So whether it's this event or any of the other events that we play, I think it's only a plus. It's a feather in our cap to be able to do that, especially when you raise money for great charities like Shriners Children's.
Yeah, I mean, there it goes without saying that this is an incredible cause, and you mentioned the competitiveness and the fun outside of if tempers flare or if competitive drive wins out. But ultimately, I think even if I'm rooting for the red, white, and blue. Let me be very clear here. I'm wearing a Whistling Straits polo, so it's difficult to talk about Ryder Cups after that one. And President's Cups are kind of a United States thing at this point. But I'm rooting for Jim Furyk and the boys. That being said, if the United States doesn't win, this still will be a win for everyone because Shriners Children's will have benefited.
It's a win for everybody because all these guys play against each other on the Champions Tour.
Right.
Most of them live in the United States. They're all good friends, as I said. When it starts, it's great. But when it ends, I remember last time Ernie Els was the captain of the international team and the U.S. flipped them on the last hole. Ernie was pissed. He was really upset. And Jim Furyk and the boys were spraying champagne, wearing the American flag. So I just love to see the competitive nature come out in these guys. There's no age limit on competitive desire. You could be 7 in the drive, chip, and putt, or you could be 57 right out here representing your country. You want to win. You want to carry the cup back home with you. And that's what we're going to see on Sunday. It's going to be pretty intense coming down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're close to the Olympics, right? Like anytime you can have me root for the United States over anyone, I will do it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's just a different patriotism, for lack of a better word or a more obvious word, but that just makes that so cool, right? And so that's why, I mean, if it's the red, white, and blue against whoever, in this case, it's against multiple teams, not just, a group of internationals or anything, but 2 different literal teams. I think that's what makes the format fun. How hard is that to juggle within a competition? You talked about being on a singular hole and having multiple matches. That's a lot to weigh mentally and to understand, and measure with regards to your approach or how aggressive you're being, because you're weighing one match against another when you may be trailing and leading at different points. It's a different juxtaposition.
I don't think many of these teams are going to get too far away from each other because of the competitive aspect. I know I played in 2 Ryder Cups and in my career, and it was the most nerve-wracking, scary time because I'm playing for myself, I'm playing for my partner, playing for my team, but I'm playing for my country of the United States of America. And people are watching, and you feel like everybody's breathing down your neck wanting you to make the putt. And it's the same for players when they're in the Ryder Cup or the President's Cup when they're representing their country. It's the type of pressure that athletes deal with day in and day out. And if you don't embrace it and enjoy it, then leave, get off the stage. Because once you step off that sidewalk of anonymity and you get into traffic, a lot of things can happen good and a lot of things can happen bad. And it just all depends on how you deal with the bad.
I think that's really wise and really full of grace at the same time. I also cover the NFL, and Bill Parcells used to have this saying that when a player starts thinking about retirement, they're retired. And so that's kind of the same sort of emotion you're talking about here. Like, unless you're fully in, you're not fully in. That's just
right.
I hate when people say, I'm going to give 110%. You can't. Like, you can only give 100%. That's a personal qualm I have with the whole world. I'm curious though, Peter, your role as tournament chairman, it has to be fun to just kind of jump in and walk around and just kind of supervise and be organized and whatnot, but not, I don't know if you have a rooting interest, if you want to, stir the pot or anything like that, but it has to be a different thing for someone who's been inside the ropes and been competing their whole life. It has to be very cool to, I want to say observe from 30,000 feet, but observe while everyone else is fighting with one another.
The one, I'm neutral. Right now, as chairman of the event, I'm neutral. I just want great competition.
Right.
But the overriding factor of this entire event is trying to raise the awareness of the Champions Tour, trying to raise the awareness of Featherstown Country Club. And we've got 2 incredible sponsors, Shriners Children's and Skechers. The build out here is incredible. It looks like a Ryder Cup, a President's Cup, a Solheim Cup. And that is our goal, to build it. It's a pretty good foursome when you think about it. Ryder Cup, President's Cup, Solheim Cup, and the Skechers World Champions Cup. So, but as I said, I'm neutral. I just want great golf.
I'm glad you brought up the Solheim Cup. I mean, it's also an event, and we're getting close to another one. And the LPGA Tour is blossoming and really rising. And there was the news about all their rounds will be broadcasted live starting in 2026. That's phenomenal. And so we've seen, I think, a lot of attention given to the LPGA Tour. And I completely agree with you that more attention needs to be given to the Champions Tour. If you had to give an elevator pitch to someone who, because golf is having a macro moment on top of any individual tour. But so if someone is newer to golf, newer to following golf, it can be kind of complicated to follow golf and to understand the intricacies of different tours or whatever the case may be. What's your 30-second elevator pitch? This is why the Champions Tour rocks, besides the fact that Peter Jacobsen is telling you it does.
My elevator pitch would be, first, do you play golf? Have you ever played golf? And if you haven't, go take a ball and a club and go hit it and see how well you do. These players on this Champions Tour, I'll give you a stat. At the Ryder Cup at Bethpage Black we had a couple months ago, those 24 players represented 23 major championships. Here, our 18 players represent 46 major championships. So these are some of the best players in the history of the game. They're in the World Golf Hall of Fame. They've won majors on both tours, and they're really good people. They're dads, they're grandpas, and they have wonderful, wonderful perspective about their game, your game, and why we're here. They're committed to the communities where we are and the charities we represent. So it's a feel-good experience across the board.
I think that's wonderful. When I spoke to Jim Furyk about this event, it was phenomenal, and he's a big Steelers fan, and so we got to chop it up NFL. But we were also talking about smoking meats and stuff like that. Like it's a different walk of life that you're dealing with relative to the Champions Tour. Which look, I love. Like I said, I'll watch any kind of golf. If you put someone with a club and a ball, in front of me, I will have a great time watching it. But I think the Champions Tour does an amazing job of just existing and offering different opportunity and different events and different alternate times to watch things so that you can enjoy golf. It's December 4th when you and I are chatting, and there's an amazing event happening because of the Champions Tour specifically.
Yeah, it's these players all love being here. We had players fly in from all around the world, and they just finished their first round. I'm trying to look. Yep, first round is complete. Europe and International tied 27, and U.S. is 24. And I know the U.S. being the defending champions, they're not going to like that. They're not going to like going to the team rooms and looking at a deficit. I would bet they're going to come out and they're going to try to flip it early. We had best ball this morning, and we're doing a modified alternate shot this afternoon, which is much harder. So we'll see that the cream rise to the top, whoever that may be. But this is just an exciting opportunity to raise the awareness of the Champions Tour and have a lot of fun along the way.
I love that. I'm hoping for some drama. I need some of the players to do some TikToks and things like that as well. Let's just kind of stir the pot in that sense. I mentioned, Peter, that my dad had a question. He was more excited that I was going to speak to you than he has been for really a lot of people that I've been fortunate enough to interview.
Nice. Thank you.
But my dad, we're from South Texas. He used to go to the Shell Houston Open every year with my uncle. And he just wanted to say he loved your band. That's really all he wanted to say. Like he wanted me to check in on the pulse of things and hear if you're still strumming the guitar and how life is going in that respect.
I play guitar every day that I'm home, and sometimes I'm not on the road. I go to Guitar Center, and I play guitar. We had an amazing time. Payne Stewart, Mark Lai, and I, two buddies from the tour. We didn't hunt. We didn't fish. We played music. So we had played all these pro-ams with people like Huey Lewis and Alice Cooper and Graham Nash and Stephen Stills and Glenn Fry, and Darius Rucker. So we put together music, and they played with us, and they helped us, and we put together a band called Jake Trout and the Flounders. And we're on iTunes, Spotify, if you want to check that out. But please thank your dad for me, and I still play. I still love music.
That's fantastic. Darius Rucker, big golf fan. I mean, Darius Rucker is in golf way more than anybody in a pro-am, with all due respect.
He's into it. He's into it.
Who's the best musician you've ever played around a golf with? How about walk off on that?
Oh, gosh. I would say the best musician I've ever played with, it could be probably Vince Gill. Okay. Vince Gill is tremendous. He's playing now with the Eagles. I would say Darius is right up there. The best celebrity golfer I've ever played with was Danny Ainge. Danny
Oh,
Ainge played for the Celtics,
yeah.
for the Blazers, became general manager of the Celtics. I think he's now with the Jazz. But
Yeah.
Danny Ainge could flat play. I think he was a +1.
He is with the Jazz. I'm a Florida Gator and an Arizona State Sun Devil, so I love golf all the way through at the collegiate level.
I'm a Duck.
And so
I'm an Oregon Duck.
Right, I understand.
I'm a big fan of Kenny Dillingham. He came from the Ducks.
Oh my gosh, Peter, I loved this already, but that was for you to give Kenny a shout out was so cool here. And I'm going to give Walter Clayton Jr. a shout out. Now I remember the Jazz. So Danny Ainge, I brought this whole thing full circle. It was a bit of a doodle to get to this point, but I would have never thought, Peter, that I would have been talking to Peter Jacobsen about Kenny Dillingham after the Champions Tour and the Skechers World Cup. So this is pretty cool, I got to say.
Good.
Good luck to the Guitar Center that hosts you next time. I'm sure it'll be a rip-roaring good time. And thank you for the time, Peter. Going to enjoy the rest of the event all weekend long. Merry Christmas to you and your family and everybody involved in the event.
Thanks. Merry Christmas to you, your family, and say hi to your dad for me.